Welcome. Welcome, everyone. The City of Johns Creek is pleased to welcome you to Northview High School for this evening's State of the City address delivered by Mayor John Bradberry. We ask that all of you who are able to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by the Chairman of Johns Creek Public Safety Foundation, Mr. David Rich.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Please remain standing as the student members of Northview High School Chorus present our national anthem.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It is our honor to introduce the Executive Director of North Fulton Community Charities, Ms. Sandra Holliday, who will deliver tonight's invocation.
Good evening and welcome to the 2024 State of the City Address. I want to first start off by thanking Mayor Bradberry for your leadership and for your commitment to helping the whole community thrive. As we gather together within this community in which we live, work, and serve, may we strive to focus our attention on the many things that unite us rather than on the few that separate and divide us. We all come with various labels tonight depending on the community that we're representing. The faith community, the nonprofit community, the business community, or even the nonprofit community. And we may also feel a sense of separation from one another based on the community from which we are derived, Native Georgian or immigrant community, Hispanic or Caucasian community, or even working class and middle class community and so forth. But we must always be mindful that in each of these distinctions and differences, we are all united by the one fact that we call this place home. And in our home, we should seek together spiritual and biblical wealth over material wealth. God tells us what biblical wealth is. It is to do good, to be rich in doing good deeds, to be generous and to be ready to share. By doing that, we will save a treasure for ourselves, which is a strong foundation for the future. So there is harmony in community. There is joy in giving back. So let us all stand united together in being rich in good deeds. Let us be united in that all of us surely desire when we cross each other's path that we wish the best for one another, We hope that we are all thriving and finding meaningful ways to contribute to our diverse community. Let us join together in prayer as we start this meeting, asking God to continually remind us of the ways we are unified and living in harmony together. Let us pray. Holy God, we are gathered together today from all walks of life, representing families, businesses, service organizations, places of worship that make up our amazing Johns Creek community. Help us to see past our differences, to be united in pursuing those things that will help and permit all of us to flourish and thrive. We ask for a spirit of generosity and grace as we work together to ensure that this place becomes all that you created it to be. We pray, Lord, that you work through our community and, most importantly, work through the people that call this place home. We ask that you bless the mayor and other community leaders with the wisdom, discernment, and courage that they need to keep us united. Thank you, Lord, for your favor, which we experience within the lives we share here tonight. We give you, God, the glory for all that is good. Amen.
Please join us in welcoming to the stage Fulton County Schools Zone 6 Superintendent, Mr. Brian Downey.
Thank you. Well, good evening and welcome to Northview High School. Certainly an outstanding representative of all the great schools that sit within the city of Johns Creek and within Fulton County Schools. I am Brian Downey, Superintendent of Zone 6, which encompasses the 15 Fulton County schools that sit within the boundaries of this great city. I am honored to stand before you tonight and hope to exemplify the partnership that exists between our schools and the city of Johns Creek. On behalf of our schools, and I know there are many principals in attendance tonight, we certainly recognize the power and impact of that partnership. We have great schools because we are in a great community. We have a great community because we have such great schools. We look forward to continuing that partnership as we work together to move our schools and city into the next chapter. Before I turn the stage over to the mayor of Johns Creek in a few minutes, I would first like to recognize many of the honored guests that are in attendance tonight. With us tonight, Chris Speed, District Director for Congresswoman Lucy McBath. Al Chaw, Chief of Staff to Congressman Rich McCormick. State Representative Scott Hilton. State Senator Sean Still. Fulton County Commissioner Bridget Thorne. Mayor Jim Gilvin from Alpharetta. Mayor Peyton Jameson from Milton. Mayor Kurt Wilson from Roswell. Mayor Bill Kohlbrenner from Mountain Park. Kristen McCabe, Vice President, Fulton County School Board. Judge Ardra Bay from the Municipal Court of Atlanta. From the Johns Creek City Council, Mayor Pro Tem Dilip Tunke. From Post 2, Stacy Skinner. From Post 3, Bob Aramilli. From Post 4, Chris Coughlin. From Post 5, Larry DiBiase. And from Post 6, Aaron Elwood. And I know we have many other city council members here from various cities, if you don't mind standing and being recognized as well. Come on, there we go. Thank you to everyone who was here in attendance. I mentioned the partnership that exists between the city and our schools, and I wanted to take a moment to highlight the power and impact of that partnership. When Mayor Bradberry was campaigning, he led with 3 priorities. Number 1, safety first. And that is seen in the involvement of our police department in their Worth It Wednesday program as they read to and build relationships with our elementary school students. It is seen with our Public Works Department as they continue to coordinate with our school district to redesign the traffic flow into and out of our schools, and I promise we will get it right one of these years. Number 2, building greater community, which is exemplified by Mayor Bradberry in the city of Johns Creek inviting our elementary, middle, and high school students in the city to join in showing off their creativity and submitting their artwork to be showcased and celebrated by the city. The theme of "This is my city" was chosen by Mayor Bradberry to encourage our students to explore what they see in our community and use their imagination to showcase Johns Creek. And the third, forward together, which is a little more personal for me. I first met Mayor Bradberry as principal of Northview High School when he was a member of the city council. John would join our Veterans Day assemblies. And John, thank you for your service. And let me pause at this point. If you are a veteran, please stand and be recognized. Thank you all for your service. It was during that time that John and I developed our professional relationship as we would have conversations about the city supporting our schools and our schools supporting our city. Our relationship moved forward together when I transitioned into my current role not too long after Mayor Bradberry transitioned into his current role. And I can say with confidence that I know we both have been asked many times, why would you take that job? From the first day in our new roles, Mayor Bradberry has been open, available, and willing to work together to help our schools and city move forward together. We have continued our conversations and have continued to find ways to support both our schools and our city, knowing that the success of both are tied together. I so appreciate and enjoy working with the mayor and the city as they understand how our partnership can lift up both our schools and city and move us forward together. On a deeper level, Mayor Bradberry and I have also moved together on a little more personal level. When he was campaigning for mayor and his name was on the side of every road in the city, my wife, Randy, who is here tonight, thank you for being here, she came home one day and said, you know, I see John Bradberry's name everywhere in this city, but I haven't seen him since high school. Turns out, indeed, my wife grew up with John and graduated from Riverwood High School along with John's wife, Christy. They were able to reconnect during this campaign, And I know even tonight they were enjoying having a small mini reunion, as they were even joined by another classmate, Eric, who I had the pleasure of meeting tonight as well, who is another Riverwood alumni. That connection is just another example of how community and schools lay the foundation of our future success and the relationships that we have that will carry us through life as we continue to move forward together. Thank you, John, for being a great partner in this work, and thank you for moving forward together. At this time, please join me in welcoming to the stage my friend and colleague in this work, the Honorable John Bradberry, Mayor of Johns Creek.
I'd be satisfied if we just stopped the program right there. That was quite an introduction. It is good to be with you. First off, I just want you to know that I have no jokes for you tonight. No jokes. I do have two stories, neither one of which I should tell you, but you know me, I'm going to want to tell them to you anyway. But the other thing we will do tonight is we will talk about what I believe is the greatest opportunity that our city has had since its incorporation. A lot of people here tonight that I need to thank for making this possible. I want to thank the Johns Creek Chamber and Robin Buckley and your team. I want to thank the Johns Creek City Council, of course. We stay pretty busy, and I'll be talking a lot about our work, your significant work tonight as well. Our staff is over here. Can you all say hello? Our staff, including our police and fire chiefs, and we've got some of the Johns Creek Police Department, I believe, out there as well. Thank you. Our friends here at Northview, Principal Newhouse, where are you? All right, back in the back. Thank you to the staff, the teachers, the students, and especially those that volunteered tonight. Thank you for your hospitality. Very much, thank you. I want to thank all the elected officials, federal, state, and local, that are here with us. And John Hypes, where are you? Man, we skipped you, John. I'm sorry. But thank you, Alpharetta City Council member. Thank you for being here as well. But all of the mayors and I in North Fulton, we, I think, enjoy each other's company, and I can't tell you how much of an honor it is always when we're able to get together. I appreciate your friendship and our collaboration. So thank you very much. All right. Well, it's very important that I not forget my family. That would be a grievous mistake, for sure. My wife, Christy, has much more to do and much bigger impact on my role as mayor than you could ever imagine. And to illustrate this point, I do have one of those stories. Where is John Suttles? John, can you stand up and say hello? Ladies and gentlemen, John Suttles is a Johns Creek resident, and as you know, we have been very focused on building greater community, and one of the events that we had was a MLK Unity Breakfast that we held for the first time back in January. John, as the speaker, did a fantastic job, by the way, and while he was talking, he said that we've been very fortunate throughout history that there have been leaders that have fought for positive change. And he lists Jesus and Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., and then he says, and our mayor, John Bradberry. Hey, look, I get a lot of criticism, so I got to take these things when I get it. But I was feeling pretty puffed up about it. I was feeling pretty excited, and I was excited to get home and tell my wife. And when I did, she just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And so Christy does a great job at keeping me grounded, very, very well grounded. I would imagine that we've got a lot of elected officials here tonight. Maybe your spouses do similar for you. But in all seriousness, thank you for everything that you do for our family and to make it possible for me to serve in this role. I do very much appreciate it. All right, so State of the City. Why do we do this? Why are we here? This is the one event that is called for in our city charter because it's very important for us to have a conversation, you and I, about the health and well-being of our community. Where do things stand today? Where are we going in the future? The state of the city of Johns Creek is strong, but we will continue to strive to make it better. And it's very, I think, appropriate that we gather because the community is such an integral part. I mean, obviously, you're the voters, you're the stakeholders, but ultimately, this truly is the goal is that you feel an ownership, that you feel a part of what we do, those road projects, the parks, if it's the artwork, whatever it is, it's all about you. Now, the state of the city, we've got it pretty good in Johns Creek. Last year, livability.com ranked us the most livable city, not just in the state, but in the country. And I think that accolade really kind of summarizes all those other nice things that they say about us sometimes, about our safety, about our schools. Even our local hospital, Emory Johns Creek, was named to the top 10 list for the state of Georgia. Yeah, all right. I may not reach you on the rest of the speech, but I knew that was going to appeal to you. But so there are a lot of great things that we've got going on in Johns Creek, and it's just going to be important that we continue to try to build and push ourselves to do better. There are 3 things that are important that I'd like to give you a brief update on before I go into our strategic priorities, and they are elections, stormwater, and taxes. So you may have heard that we are looking at doing our own local elections, running our own municipal elections here in Johns Creek, and we've been looking at that. We almost did it last year, but we got feedback really from all corners that we should wait and just make sure that we're prepared to do it right. And we listened to that feedback, and we did wait, and now we are continuing to prepare to do our own municipal elections in 2025. I want you to know one thing about this. This is not about Washington, D.C. This is not about the Gold Dome. This is not even about Fulton County. This is simply about what is right for Johns Creek. And I have tried personally to very much focus on the merits and the facts. And I've been very proud of our community and how you all have spoken and communicated your thoughts about this. But the bottom line is, Johns Creek, we can run our own elections better, more efficiently, and I believe over the long term, more cost effectively. And at the end of the day, that will also enable us to be more independent and have greater local control. All right, stormwater. Another important issue that is especially acute for many of our residents and our neighborhoods. We have made great progress in making repairs to our existing stormwater infrastructure. Literally, we have repaired and cleaned out hundreds of stormwater pipes throughout Johns Creek. But last year, the council determined that in addition to repairs and maintenance, we wanted to find a large, impactful project upstream that would have a positive impact to reduce the erosion effect and slow down the sediment flowing on down to downstream property owners. A site with the most potential impact was identified, and a stream restoration project will be initiated later this year. I think this is a good example of how we can tackle the needs of our residents and our HOAs too. I look forward to working with the council and the staff to explore a stormwater grant program that will hopefully enable us to offer some relief, hopefully, in difficult situations that are also affecting residential properties. Now, regarding taxes. We're going to talk about some pretty ambitious things tonight, and so I feel strongly that I need to share this with you. When we talk about all these new and exciting things that we hope to do, I think it's very important that you know my intention is to deliver to the council later this year a budget that is once again built on the rollback rate, just like I did last year. Terminology is important. The rollback rate is the only rate, really, that guarantees that we will not have a tax increase. And so I just want to make sure that if it's not the rollback rate, it's a tax increase. No way around that. What I think is critical, it's not like we can't raise taxes. If someone has a compelling reason that we should raise your taxes, I just think that we have to come to you and make the case to the taxpayers. That to me just seems fair. And so that's the posture that I'm going into the next budget season with. All right, before I get into the strategic priorities, I just want to brag on a couple of major things about our council. First thing, I really appreciate that our council, although sometimes we may disagree, we do so without being disagreeable. We have managed to conduct the affairs of the city in a civil manner. And I don't know, for those of you, some of you that are long-term observers of our council, I hope maybe that you've seen this difference. For those of you that are a newcomer to visiting the council, I hope that you've seen that maybe it's a little bit more of a business-like, professional focus. But whether you've noticed this or not, I can tell you that it's definitely led to our council being more productive. And for that, I am greatly appreciative of all of our council members. Can we give them a big round of applause for that? The other thing that I think that we've done a good job of doing that's different than the way we've done it in the past, regarding our strategic priorities, rather than us focusing on a particular project as a priority, we've really looked to make our strategic priorities more infinite in nature, more long-term looking, so that our priorities are having a more overarching effect over the long-term future of the city. And we made that an intentional pivot, and I really appreciate that the council embraced that, and I think that we're on to something good by doing that. So thank you for that. Now, some really good stuff, some things I'm very excited about. Let's talk about those strategic priorities. There are 5 of them. So recreation and parks, transportation and connectivity, public safety, economic development, and of course, arts and culture. In recreation and parks, hopefully you noticed that we had a pretty major milestone last year. The opening of Cauley Creek Park was absolutely a fantastic moment in the history of Johns Creek. If you have not gotten a chance to visit, I highly recommend it. It's beautiful. 203 acres right there on the Chattahoochee off Bell Road, so you ought to try and get up there and see it. Looking forward, we will be going, hopefully, under construction for Creekside Park later this year. Creekside Park is that area that's right behind City Hall, and it will be a critical part of our town center. And so that's slated to get going. And then we also will get started with the Makerspace STEM playground. On transportation and connectivity, the council made transportation and connectivity a strategic priority because obviously this is something that each and every one of us, it impacts us on a daily basis, us trying to move around our community. It's very important. In 2023, we improved traffic flow with several good projects. We, like Brian was talking about earlier, we helped improve traffic flow at 2 of our schools. We closed 2 significant sidewalk gaps in the community, and we've also improved several intersections around Johns Creek last year. Let me just say here that I understand that sometimes these projects cause you inconvenience. I I realize that sometimes what we are doing in the name of progress can sometimes be very maddening. I know that I've certainly had my time caught in some of those things as well. But I want you to know that our staff really does try hard to work with the contractors that are doing these projects to try to plan ahead, to try to do everything possible to mitigate, some of these inconveniences. I would just ask for your patience, and I just want you to know that sometimes the traffic or the delays or whatever it is that's causing you grief, those things are happening sometimes just despite our best efforts. So I really do appreciate your patience on that. In 2024, we will have multiple trail projects throughout the city, up on Rogers Bridge Road, going down towards Bell, connecting Shake Rag. We'll have a nice trail project on Bell Road to go from basically Rogers Bridge down to Cauley Creek. And then we've got the Old Alabama project that's about to be wrapped up, actually. But we'll also have the Bice Road Trail project that's ongoing. So we're making a lot of improvements in this area. We will also be breaking ground on something I'm very excited about, the premier pedestrian tunnel that will go underneath 141 Medlock Bridge to connect pedestrians from that side of 141 to the town center. I think that's going to be a fantastic project. And in general, the council and I, we've tried to explore different ways that we can increase our multimodal opportunities. For example, last year we changed our ordinances so that it's now legal for riding your bike on our sidewalks. And so I think that that's a strategic improvement. As we look forward to 2024, we are going to look at the possibility, the potential, that maybe we could allow golf carts if it can be done in a safe way on our existing infrastructure. So we'll see what happens there, but pay attention to that. All right, public safety. Obviously, public safety is something that we care a great deal about in Johns Creek. We take it very seriously. Our police department and fire department, they both hold themselves to very high standards. And if you look at our police department in particular, the police department voluntarily submits itself to accreditation by CALEA. CALEA is the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. For the last 4 years, they have been accredited at their highest level. It's a very significant thing. Thank you, Chief, for your leadership. The police have a difficult job. Oftentimes, we know that they are put in harm's way with life-threatening situations. I'd like to think that that's not the norm, but I do think that probably the norm is that they are tasked with some very difficult things day in and day out. And at a minimum, I know that they are tasked with some very awkward situations. And remember how I told you that I had 2 stories for you. One of the awkward situations maybe involved yours truly. I told you I should not tell you the stories. One afternoon, I was going up 141. I was in a hurry to get to a meeting at City Hall. I heard the whoop whoop and the blue lights. I got pulled over for the first time since I cannot remember. I was mortified, and I felt sorry for the officer because I knew that that must be awkward. He could not have been more professional. He could not have handled it really any better. But as I'm sitting there on the side of the road, at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm just feeling really sheepish. I'm embarrassed. When you're pulled over and you're getting a ticket, you just kind of feel like everybody driving by is looking at you. So I was feeling kind of low. But then the officer brought over the ticket. And I'm reading the ticket. And it says hair, brown, check. Eyes, blue, check. But he made me 2 inches taller, and he made me 30 pounds lighter. Best ticket experience of my entire life. On the fire side of our public safety house, our fire department continues to provide a highly skilled response to life-threatening emergencies. Did you know that we have a paramedic-trained firefighter on every truck? That way, if your 911 call includes a medical need, you are not waiting on an ambulance. When every minute counts, a Johns Creek Fire Department paramedic will be on the way to help you as soon as they place that 911 call. We're so committed to answering this need that our new recruits all go through paramedic school before they finish the fire academy. And I do want to let you know we're also planning for the building of a new fire station in Newtown to replace the old one. It's important to note that the current fire station is 2 single bays and can accommodate 2 fire trucks. The new proposed station will have 2 double bays, effectively doubling the current capacity to 4 trucks. Although there have been no safety issues or difficulties responding to emergencies from the old station, the expected maintenance and repairs for the old station just no longer make economic sense compared to building new and being able to relocate the police department's southern substation into that new building. To our Johns Creek Police and Fire, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that y'all do. Thank y'all. Economic development. For a while, Johns Creek had a reputation that we were not business friendly, that we were not very excited about a new business opening. We have been hard at work to try to change that, and I think that our efforts are paying dividends. Johns Creek in the last 2 years has successfully attracted 14 new projects that are collectively forecasted to generate almost 1,300 new jobs in our city and over $500 million in new investment. Boston Scientific. Brian, where are you? All right, he's back there in the back, but the guy that's going to be leading the branch here in Johns Creek is back there, and we're going to be breaking ground on that later this year, I believe. No, I'm sorry. It's under construction, and it's early next year that we're going to break ground, I hope. But we're very excited about everything coming our way from Boston Scientific. Toro Development, they are slated to break ground on their project of Medley later this year. Mizuno Golf, they have a research and development facility that they're building at the Standard Club. EFAN, they opened a new 20,000 square foot event and high-end restaurant facility. Very nice, very beautiful. And then something that no one realizes, because of security reasons, they wanted to keep this kind of on the hush-hush, but we've had a multi-million-dollar technology and security center for a very large company open in Johns Creek as well. Our economic development activities have helped to attract retail businesses into the community at an accelerated rate. Rates for space in Johns Creek has surpassed that of Atlanta. The retail space rental rate in Johns Creek is now $22 a square foot compared to $20 a square foot in Metro Atlanta. The asking sale price for office space in Johns Creek has increased to $260 a square foot compared to $172 in Metro Atlanta. Part of what is driving these trends and our success has been that we have been strategically focused on health, wellness, and innovation. So much so that we are now the only city that has been named a bio-ready city, and this means that we already have the infrastructure in place for those businesses of the future to come to Johns Creek and open up because we have that infrastructure already in place. I think that that's a very positive sign. Now for arts and culture. Not only have we already made some nice improvements, we now have art hanging on display at City Hall. We have several nice new public art pieces throughout Johns Creek. Like Brian talked about, we're now in the third year of the Mayor's Art Competition for the elementary, middle, and high school students. And let me tell you something, some of that artwork is just fantastic. I've got one of the pieces that's in our house on display. It's just beautiful. But let's talk about the Legacy Center. I could not be more appreciative of the late Wayne Bauman for his vision that one day Johns Creek would have a permanent home for the cultural and performing arts in Johns Creek. Without Wayne's dogged pursuit of that vision, I'm not sure that the dream would have survived long enough for us to be talking about it here tonight. I know, all of us that knew Wayne, it's shocking that we would be talking about the Legacy Center here tonight, but without Wayne. But at the same time, I've got to believe that he's definitely paying attention and that he's definitely monitoring our progress on this issue. If you knew Wayne, you know what I'm talking about. So there may have been some changes, or there may need to be some changes, some tweaks to the initial vision of the Legacy Center as it was originally talked about. But I do believe that if you look at the overall project, that we are really making some progress on the spirit of that original vision. Here's where we are today. There is now broad consensus, I believe, in the arts community as well in the city government, that the Legacy Center, as originally envisioned, it's just unwieldy. To have all those components under one roof is unmanageable. But if we separate those components apart, the art center, the event and meeting space, and a performance hall, we can work those as individual problems much more effectively. They become opportunities that I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And as long as we still have them fairly close together, like maybe in the town center, then those synergies between those different elements are still there. Take the Art Center. The Art Center has long had very popular programs that have been oversubscribed, and they just can't meet the need because of their physical space limitations. We are working with them, and progress is being made to help do something better for the Art Center. The meeting and event space component, that's something that myself and I think many others have long believed that we definitely have an opportunity to hopefully have that become real as a part of a much larger project and have it done by a private entity. We have got real discussions that are happening today about that. That's fantastic. And then finally, the big piece, the most difficult piece, but I think the piece with the most potential to be a game changer for our community is a performance hall. As a performance hall would bring a vibrancy to our community that we've never had before. As Wayne put it, a performance hall is our community's missing puzzle piece. A performance hall would provide our cultural and performing arts a permanent home. But it would also provide all of us a place that we could see shows and performances right here in our own community with local talent, but also maybe talent from all over the world. A performance hall would provide enrichment and recreation and improve our quality of life. And if you look at it through the lens of our recreation and park system, I think someone would be hard-pressed to note the difference between a kid with a ball on a field of grass versus a kid with a musical instrument practicing and performing his or her talent. As you know, last year, our council directed staff to look for land for the Legacy Center. Long before that, the Legacy Center Task Force, a private nonprofit, started trying to lay the groundwork for the information and analysis of what would be necessary for us to one day do the Legacy Center. There was a feasibility study in 2018. The opportunity analysis report was done in 2019. There was later an economic impact study. In 2022, I impaneled the Legacy Center Working Group to take a critical look at size, scope, and scale from a business perspective. This has literally been dreamt about. It's been analyzed. It's been studied. You know, they say that there's a very fine line between fishing and standing at the edge of the water, waiting, looking foolish. Isn't it time that we get serious about either fishing or cutting bait? Isn't it time that we fill the missing puzzle piece? It's time we move forward. In practical terms, 2 nights ago, the council allocated funds towards construction documents for a performance hall. Now, as JFK put it, this is our throwing our hat over the wall. It effectively commits us to this objective. And although I cannot say tonight what the exact location will be, I can tell you that I'm very confident that we will be able to do so by the end of the year. What this does is this activates and engages our staff to start really taking the close look at this project and what it's going to take to do it, to start answering the necessary questions, and to get it eventually to a point where we are able to bring it to council for a decision. I cannot say tonight exactly how long it's going to take us to accrue the necessary funds for the construction of the performance hall. But I think that we've got a great group here tonight, you and the other members of our community, that can give your feedback to the council about what your desires are from a timeline, how fast, how quickly you want to go with this project. To this end, I encourage you to reach out and share any of your thoughts with me and the other council members about the performance hall or anything else that we've talked about tonight. Folks, we have a great community here in Johns Creek. We are truly blessed. We are good and getting better, and I believe the best is yet to come. I hope that you are as excited and hopeful for our future as I am. Please stay engaged, proud, and committed to making Johns Creek the best that it can be. I hope that God blesses each of you, and may God bless our very special community of Johns Creek. Thank you.